Hi there, it's your guide Elena. Welcome to Kyiv, Ukraine. This is the main square, Independence Square of Ukraine. In this video, I will tell you what you see on the main square of Kyiv. In this video, I invite you to a brief virtual online tour to the main square of Ukraine. Welcome to Maidan Nezalezhnosti, the square of independence, if you translate it word by word. So this first word, Maidan, what does it mean? There is a meaning behind it. Basically, this word came to our Ukrainian language from Turkish language, and it means a massive gathering of people who come together to take some decisions. Another meaning of Maidan is a revolution, and that became the place of many revolutions. Here in Ukraine we say, how you call a boat, this is how it will float. That is what exactly happened here on Maidan. In 1990 was that revolution, the year before Ukraine became independent, and that revolution's name is Revolution on Granite. Revolution on Granite is the students' revolution. Basically, they were gathering here on Maidan. They were living here in the tents, and they were starving. They refused to take food, and the great idea was, yes, to make Ukraine an independent state. Here we have a temporal exhibition dedicated to revolutions, how Ukraine gained its independence, how Ukraine had to confirm its independence during the time when it was already independent. Because you see, even when we gained independence here in Ukraine, we still have to prove that we have the right to be independent. So that's not the permanent exhibition, it's temporal, they will remove it soon. Here are the photographs from many events, from many revolutions that took place here. The rusty metal here symbolizes the war and blood. It's to remind us that even though life looks really peaceful here, and it is really peaceful and safe here, but still there are certain events happening today in the east of Ukraine, the territories where we are at war with Russia, and that is the reminder for us that let's not forget what's happening over there while you are here safe and sound today. You know, I'm trying to find another revolution that happened here in 2001. That was revolution against the President Kuchma, who was president back then, and the name of the revolution is Ukraine without Kuchma. Now, my nation, local people, we had to go through many difficulties throughout our history. And the reason why, well, look at the map of Europe. Look where we are situated. Ukraine was always on the crossroad, and we were always surrounded by some superpowers, and we always had to be, defending ourselves or to be with somebody, and we always had to choose where to go. That was always the decision to follow the Western way, to follow European way, or to follow the Asian, the Russian way. All the time we had to defend ourselves, and we were always ripped by some other superpowers. And that is the clue for understanding what is the reason for all that mess around here in this country. On the other hand, maybe that is the gift that we have. Maybe that is the reason why we are so diverse, that we are quite friendly and open and democratic. Maybe that is the gift that we will use one day. In 2004, we had here the Orange Revolution. That was the protest against frauds during the elections. And when it was happening, I was a student of the second grade, of the second year. And yeah, I remember I was participating, and I was carrying this orange ribbon, which was the symbol of that revolution. On this photograph you can see how people occupied the main street of Kiev, Khreshchatyk. They were sleeping just on the street in the tents. The last revolution that we had here in 2013-14 was not the last revolution that we had here in 2013-14, that was a revolution of dignity, and unfortunately it ended up with the blood. So here you can see that building is on fire. You maybe will not believe it, but that is that exactly building that you can see over there. Yeah, so that's this is that building, the building of the professional unions, trade unions. So now it's being repaired, restored, but in the most tense days of the Revolution of Dignity, that building was on fire, and just nearby on the Institutska street here, people were shot by the snipers. In the Soviet times, here was a big monument of Lenin, and the hotel, that Soviet building, was named Hotel Moskva. Now it's the Hotel Ukraine, and in 2001 here was a huge reconstruction of Maidan, and instead of Lenin they put this stela of independence. It's a woman, it is Bereginya, which means a woman who is very caring, who cares about everybody, only not about herself. That is exactly what my mom did, and sometimes what I do. You know, that is in our Ukrainian character probably. Ukrainian Bereginya, who is taking care of everybody, and in her hands she is holding the branch of a plant. Is the flea or gelda rose in English. So that is another symbol of Ukraine, that plant. It's a symbol of Ukraine, it's a symbol of Ukrainian girl, and there is a very nice song which says, Gelda rose, why are you not in blossom? Girl, why are you crying? And that is the song about, you know, a Ukrainian girl who is sitting and crying because there was a Ukrainian boy, a warrior, who was passing by her village, stopped for a night, seduced her, and then continued his way and went away. And she's like, hey, where are you going? I'm your girlfriend. Didn't you know about that? Okay, I will try to sing that song for you. Did you know that Ukrainians are a very singing nation? Чом стоишь, думаешь, молода девчина? Hey, guys, so if you come to Ukraine, don't hurt Ukrainian girls, okay? Treat them with respect, if you know what I'm talking about. That Hotel Ukraine with such a nice light now, it wasn't here all the time. More than 100 years ago, here was the first skyscraper of the Russian Empire was built, the so-called House of Ginzburg. But unfortunately, in 1941, it was bombed, it was blown up during the Nazi occupation. And guess who did it? And those were not Nazi troops, those were Soviet troops. So when in 1941 the Soviets were leaving the city, they were retreating from the city, and Nazi troops arrived and occupied the capital. What Soviets did before, they put the explosive, the bombs, into all the buildings on Khreshchatyk Street, Independence Square, and in some other areas, you know, to the most important buildings. And one day they arranged that massive explosion, and Khreshchatyk Street was absolutely bombed. It looked absolutely different, you know, it was just demolished. And only after the Second World War, it was rebuilt from scratch, from nothing. That is why now Khreshchatyk and Independence Square, it has such a Soviet architecture. The old Kiev looked very different. It had very different architecture. This building, this architecture style is called Stalin Empire. Stalinsky Empire, Stalin Empire style. Well, let's talk about that monument now. So Ukraine as an independent state exists only for 29 years. It gained independence in 1991 only, but people were living here for many centuries, and Kiev is the city was founded more than 1,500 years, 1500s, I believe you say in English. So that is the monument dedicated to the founders of Kiev. I just met my friends, here they are. Yeah, so let me tell you a few words about that monument. So here we have three men and a woman. These are three brothers and their sister Libit, who founded Kiev in the 5th century, according to the legend, according to the old book. So the brothers Kij, and Kiev was named after him. Another brother is Shek and Horib, and their sister Libit. He is the warrior. His brothers are a craftsman and a farmer, and Libit is the woman. No, Maidan was always playing a very important role in the history of my country, and just here, when this Revolution of Dignity was taking place, that square was really on fire, and on that street where I'm standing, many people were killed by the regime of Yanukovych. People were walking up that hill, and the militia was shooting at them. We call these people who were victims and who were heroes, we call them Heavenly 100, because more than 100 people were killed during the Revolution of Dignity, and most of them, they were peaceful protesters, they were unarmed. You know, because of these events, Maidan is the place, a very popular place for rendezvous, is the must-see place for the tourists, and we used to have many celebrations here before, but today it's as well the place of very painful memories of Ukrainians. That is something that we will never forget, I hope. You know, when you come here, we will talk in details about the reasons of this revolution, about how it all happened. You know, in the very beginning, it was very peaceful, absolutely peaceful. Nobody wanted to fight, but authorities were not listening to people. And you know, that guy's Belarusian journalist. He was one of the first 3 victims who were shot dead, who were killed during this Revolution of Dignity, and that was something horrible. I remember my feelings, that was something horrible to happen, and we couldn't even imagine what events will follow after this. And me myself, even today, you know, I'm standing here, and till today I can't believe that it was happening here, guys. It is unbelievable. We are standing in the very center of the capital of the European country, and innocent unarmed people were killed here, shot by snipers, and they were, you know, they were shooting just in the heart of protesters. They were shooting at people who were doctors, who were walking up just to take back the others who were wounded. The hotel Ukraine became like a hospital. People, when the first people were wounded and doctors, they were trying to save them, they moved the bodies, the guys, to the Hotel Ukraine and made some operations just inside of the buildings. But to many people, they couldn't help anymore, because what militaries did, they were shooting just into the heart of protesters. This part of the street today is for pedestrians only, so the cars are not driving here anymore, and that street is named after the Heavenly 100. So Майдан Незалежності, Independence Square, is for sure a very important place in the history of Ukraine. It will always be the must-see place, the place of very important events. It's a popular place for rendezvous, for gatherings, for parties, and that is a place of the memory as well. So that was your guide to Lena here in Kiev, and I'm waiting for you to come to Kiev, and you're welcome to book a tour with me here. I will be happy to guide you around. My tours are informative, but we don't forget to relax and have fun and enjoy the places that we visit. So now let me show you those beautiful fountains in the evening.